So the World Cup is back, bro. How you feeling?
In disbelief.
Yeah, I can't
I'm
believe,
excited.
man. I can't believe it's back. Like it just crept up on us and it's like here.
Yeah, it's insane. And today was very cold.
Yeah, it is cool. This is the definition of a winter World Cup, bro. So look, Ecuador, man. 2-0 against the host Qatar. Qatar becomes the first host nation to lose their opening World Cup match. Do you think it's over for them?
It's never over till it's over, but uh, I had thought this match was going to end in a draw.
Me too.
Uh,
Me too. I predicted a 2-2 draw.
I thought 1-1 somewhere in that ballpark.
Mm.
But I think the occasion in large part got to their heads.
Yeah, stage fright. A bit of stage fright, man.
And, I didn't pick them to come out of this group. I know you didn't either, but I thought
Yeah.
they had put in a better showing than this. The concern I have for their fans and for the players is, never mind a win or a point. I don't know if they're going to find the back of the net at all this tournament.
Well, I think they could find the back of the net because you saw in today's game that they had one or two opportunities, but they're not clinical enough. You see what I mean? And I have to give it to Ecuador, man. They didn't have any stage fright. It's like they knew what they were coming up against, and they didn't even have the preparation that Qatar had. Qatar has been preparing for this for over a decade, right? It's been a long time. So they've had a lot of time, and it's like it is a situation like you have a crush on a girl, right? And then when you finally you finally get the opportunity to talk to the girl and to get a number, it's like you freeze up, your knees, buckle. You know what I'm saying? Look, I have to say that Qatar is gonna shit the bed, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me just say that it's looking like it because from what I saw today, it'll be hard to bounce back. And when you look at the group, I think that Ecuador on paper are like the third best team in the group on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll take like a meltdown from a team like the Netherlands for Qatar to actually get a result. You're gonna take Senegal really not playing well without Sadio Mane for Qatar to get a result. Qatar might actually pick up no points in this group and become the definitely the worst ever World Cup host. And then the embarrassment and the backlash from the whole controversial, things that's been going on with them hosting the World Cup and the human rights situation, it's gonna blow up in Qatar's face.
Yeah, I agree, and I think in that event, who would feel sorry for most would be the fans and
Yeah.
the players
And the
themselves.
players, yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, they have a couple of games left. Like you said, they're going to need a Hail Mary to come through this. I think the best they could hope for at this point is to, number one, get a point and at least not get embarrassed because, like you said, their next two opponents on paper are much tougher. And going back to when the draw came out, and I looked at this group and I thought, wow, like the order of their games just get progressively more difficult. Like they
Yeah.
most likely need to get something from this match
Yeah.
because even with a Mane less Senegal, you still favor Senegal to put them to the sword, really.
Yeah, what I knew this Qatar team was actually doomed. It was when they started playing against the European teams as the practice games, when they were playing against Portugal and Serbia and some of the other teams in Group A there, and they were performing so poorly. And I'm like, you can't beat these teams. How are you gonna compete at the World Cup? You see what I mean?
In Ireland
And
and Azerbaijan, yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. So I was already convinced that Qatar was getting out of the group. When they won the Asian Cup, I was like, yeah, they actually, making us, look at them and taking them a bit more serious than most people had before. Because I was saying to myself, I can't remember the time when I actually knew there was a country called Qatar. I think it was when I started doing this whole football thing and going deep and doing I'm like, You know, and then the World Cup, most people didn't even know a country was called Qatar, bro. You see
Mm.
what I mean? They're the smallest nation to ever host the World Cup, only 4,000 square miles. I don't know if you realize that. That
It's
is
it's
very small.
it's small. It's tiny.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I was looking at Uruguay and Switzerland, and I'm like, yeah, it is the smallest, But look, to just talk some more about the game, bro. You really summed up the game really well in your 4-minute video. I have to say, you hit the nail on the head. But going back to the lineups, I have to say that Qatar put out the best team that they could have possibly put out.
Mhm.
And for Ecuador, there was some question marks over like the goalkeeper Galindez and a few other players in the team that it could have been a different team, but Gustavo Alfaro got it right on the day.
Yeah, yeah, and I think in large part, one of the big issues that Qatar had was coping with, I think, Ecuador's pace and their agility on the wings. Like,
Yeah,
my God, like these players, like Plata and Stupin
Estupinian, Plata, and Preciado. These guys just.
ballers. Yeah,
And the thing is, Pedro Miguel is no slouch. You know what I mean? He's no slouch. Abdel Karim Hassan, he has a lot of pace and physicality. And these guys were outplayed, I'm telling you. And look, Enner Valencia surprised me because when he scored that goal early in the game that was ruled out, that was a ridiculous pass to get the ball to him. You
yeah.
know, yeah. And it's just a pity that it was ruled offside. Rightfully so.
Mhm.
Technology. I like the technology so that there's no controversial decisions being made and we get to see on TV that, hey, look, it was offside. But Al Sheeb, he was really shaky in goal. They're gonna have to get their act together. Maybe even drop him for the next game. I know it might sound harsh, but if you could nip it in the bud right away, might as well do it. But that was a really good start by Ecuador, and they didn't make the whole disallow goal phase them. They just continue to play their game, and they look like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And most teams that win their opening game usually get through.
Yeah,
Pressure is off them right now. Pressure is on Netherlands and Senegal because we know one of those teams are going to walk away with no points, or both teams are going to walk away with 1 point. And Ecuador is sitting there like, okay, beautiful. You know what I mean? But you spoke about Qatar's inability to actually keep up with Ecuador's pace, to match their pace. They started the game very slowly. You know, they hardly got into the game. Almoez Ali and Afif hardly had a touch. Afif had to come back and play deep to
yeah.
even get on the ball, which was ridiculous.
I noticed that. Yep.
And the first goal that was scored, that was a ridiculous through ball to Enner Valencia, and him going around the goalkeeper and then getting brought down, and the penalty was well taken, man. Nerves of steel. And once Ecuador scored, Qatar still couldn't get themselves in the game. I was like, God damn, the occasion is getting the best of these guys. They're misplacing passes. They just miscontrolling. They just was all over the place.
And there was considerable miscommunication between Al Sheeb and his back line, and
Exactly.
that led, I think, to Ecuador eventually scoring that first goal that was ruled off.
Yeah.
And you're right, they did respond well to getting that ruled off, because I think Ecuador sensed, hey, you know what, we're the better team here. Let's just basically keep asserting our will over them, because they're all over the place. They don't know what we're throwing at them. The only real good chance Qatar had was towards the end of that first half. Remember that cross into Ali?
Almoez Ali had to take it, man, and it was a great chance.
He gets it on target. It's probably a goal.
Yeah, and I think he was in two minds. You see, he should have just went at it. You saw the goal that Enner Valencia scored, the second goal. Oh my God,
Beautiful.
just the experience, because most people were questioning who's going to score the goals for Ecuador. Well, we know who's going to score the goals now, and that's Enner Valencia. So when Qatar failed to capitalize on that opportunity to get back in the game, I think that's where they eventually went on to lose the game. because had they got back in the game at halftime, it was game on in the second half. They could have easily won the second half and walk away with a point and keep their chances open. I'm not saying it's all over, like for them. It's still a possibility, but it's going to be rough. It is going to be really rough.
Yeah. If they pull one back just before the stroke of half, that changes the complexion of the game, because Ecuador has to decide whether to approach the second half the same way they did the first. Because remember, the second half, they kind of slowed the tempo on purpose, and you got the sense they did that because they were trying to rest up. Because once Valencia took that knocking, they're like, okay, well, hold up, we gotta let's take them off.
Game management. I think their game management was really good as well. Their substitutions, and with a few players on yellows, they have to be very careful in the next game as well. So Ecuador eventually, as we know, went on to win the game brilliantly and gave a good account for themselves. Most people didn't expect them to even qualify. I predicted them to qualify, but I didn't predict them to get out the group. It looks like we're going to have a twist. It seems as if Ecuador are going to get out the group. And I think, when you talk about the twist, right? With that being said, let's just transition and let's touch on the next games that these teams are going to play.
Sure.
Let's talk first. Let's talk Qatar. And their next game is against Senegal, November 25th. They will be hoping that Senegal doesn't win that game against Netherlands tomorrow and comes into that game deflated and desperate, playing some open football and, leave themselves vulnerable to get picked off. They don't want a confident Senegal team. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Qatar they absolutely must win this game, because you don't want to leave. Okay, let's say they get a point. They're still alive, but you don't want to leave the last game against the Netherlands to get 3 points, though. I'm not saying they can't, because we know this Qatar team could be really good on their day, but they can't leave it that late. They really can't.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on the Senegal game, though?
The Senegal game for Qatar.
I know we haven't seen Senegal at the World Cups yet, but still.
Well, it's really, I think, a do or die for Qatar, because it's going to take something gargantuan against the Dutch, who, even by that time, if the Netherlands are well through this group, even if they field reserves, you'd favor the Netherlands to still walk with the full points in that last match. Thoughts on this game? Not just Qatar, but if Senegal receive a thumping against the Dutch, this could be a do or die for both of these teams concerned here, with Senegal and Qatar. I don't know. It just feels like it's going to be a game that either side just cannot afford to lose. Are you asking how I think both teams will approach that tactically, or what?
No. I think you give a good account there, but that game would be a tricky game, because Senegal could go into that game without any points as well, just like Qatar, and it would be definitely do or die for both teams, because none of these teams would want to walk away with a draw from that game. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. One thing I'll also add that I forgot is that another big problem for Qatar today was dealing with the physicality of Ecuador, and coming up against Senegal, it's not going to get easier in that regard as well, because you're going to come up against a team that will most likely, outmaneuver you, out physical you all over the pitch.
And against the Dutch as well. You're dealing with Van Dijk, man, and De Ligt. These guys are massive units. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And they're going to be dealing with the big strikers as well. Let's say Wout Weghorst, Luke de Jong. These guys are big. So I think Qatar, they got the work cut out for them, and I don't think they really going to come through this group at all. And look, they made history on the wrong end by losing as a host the opening game. So I think most people if they weren't convinced, they're convinced that Qatar are not going to do well at the World Cup. And look, with that being said, let's just touch on the game next for Ecuador. Their next game will be against the Dutch. Do you think they got what it takes to get something from that game? Of course. But, in terms of, what we saw today,
I think they do, because we've seen that they have the ability to switch off into a more defensive mode. And we saw that I read a statistic earlier today. They picked up, I think they clean sheets in each of their last
Yes,
games. Seven games.
seven, actually, yeah.
That sounds to me like win matches where you should, plus scrape results where you maybe otherwise shouldn't. That sounds like a formula for progression from the group. I think it's in their ability to scrape something from that. I mean, a win would be phenomenal for them, of course. It would be an upset. But Gustavo Alfaro has been able to, not always the best football at times, but able to get this team to grind out results against better sides. And we saw that against Argentina and Brazil in some of their results in qualifying. So,
Yeah, man. So Ecuador definitely made their fans proud on the day, and they're going to look to waltz into the round of 16. Look, it's a good thing that they have 4 days rest before that game against the Netherlands, so guys like Preciado and Enner Valencia could rest up and recover for that match, because they're going to need them. They're definitely going to need them, because, Michael Estrada, he didn't look too convincing on the day for me. Romario Ibarra, he got a chance. He didn't look too bad either, but Gonzalo Plata is definitely a player to watch. We're going to see some breakout players this World Cup, and I think Gonzalo Plata could be one of them, because, look, the January transfer window is coming up. We're going to see some moves that's being made because of this World Cup, man. So, look, don't want to be too long-winded, but just wanted to, discuss this with you, because we've been doing this for a very long time. We talked, a lot about the last World Cup, and we had a lot to do with the buildup of this one as well. And I just wanted to do like a mini series with you. So for everybody watching, Football Fair and I are going to attempt to come almost every day when we can and have a discussion about the day's proceedings. So, yeah, man, we have big games coming up tomorrow. Let's just briefly look over those and then, call it a day. Let's just click on the matches right here. Okay, tomorrow, England versus Iran. How you feeling about that? I saw that you predicted Iran to get out of their group, though.
Yeah, I did. That was one of my.
Did you predict them to top the group?
I did. Yeah.
Wow. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wow. Okay.
It's a bold call.
That's different.
It's
different. Yeah. So how you think they're going to do against England tomorrow, though?
I think that they're going to sort of revert back to what we usually saw them in Carlos Queiroz's previous stints.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to be very attack-minded in this game. I think for the most part, they're going to be on the back foot, maybe seek to get England off guard. I don't think England's going to – if England does come through this and win this match, I don't think they're going to run away with it. I could see this being a very long, drawn-out, ugly game that draws – so much criticism from the English tabloids on this team. And, this match kind of gives me England versus Algeria vibes in 2010. A little bit. I would be a little bit surprised if England wins this match comfortably. So, I mean, if we're asking like a scoreline prediction, I think it's either going to be a 0-0 or I'm going to go with 0-0. I think it's going to be 0-0. I think Iran's going to come back.
That's a big prediction. I don't have my book right now, but I did predict a win for England, so I don't know the exact score line. So the next game we have here, Senegal, Netherlands. What do you have on that one?
I think, at least for this first match, Mane's absence is really going to be felt. I agree with you. I think you had the Netherlands winning 2-0. Yeah. I think we're getting another 2-0 in this group, in Group A. I have the Netherlands coming through.
USA Wales.
Oh, I was gonna. Okay. Just being real, just being honest here. I think Wales are going to win this 1-0.
Yeah, I have Wales winning. I actually have Wales topping this group, by the way. But you have Wales coming third, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have Wales winning this game, you still think they'll come in third?
Yeah, I mean, well,
that means you have a whole lot of weird results happening in this group, and
it's a bit of a strange group because you look at where these teams are, not just in the FIFA rankings but in the ELO ratings. Mm-hmm. There's some that say that this might quietly be one of the tighter groups when all is said and done. Mm-hmm. Remember were only in pot 4 for the draw because the playoffs took place after the draw itself.
Yeah.
They would have been a pot 3 team. So the U.S. is not really playing a pot 4 team in this group. If anything, we're the pot 4 caliber side.
Yeah.
I think. See, it's difficult to like predict who's going to top what group in that, and then when you dive into the matches, you like who's going to win each individual game.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but I actually made my first set of predictions based on how I predicted the groups. And then after the results come in from the first set of games, and I start saying, okay, I guess I was wrong. And I start changing up a little bit. You know what I mean?
I changed a lot of my predictions as well, too, over the last few months as far as like the first round is concerned. I wouldn't be surprised if both these games tomorrow in Group B end in draws. Imagine like how tense that would be heading into match day 2 with everything level. But as far as England, Wales, one concern I have tomorrow, I just have a feeling Greg is going to start Aaron Long at the back. And I think it's...
Yeah, bro, don't even stress it. We don't know what Greg Berhalter is going to do, really.
We don't know what he's going to do, but I think I see this being I think it's going to be like a 1-0 to Wales. I think the U.S. might even actually play well for most of the match, but just as you know, in the last few months, we've developed a goal scoring issue. Yeah. And I just look at a team like Wales. I think they have more of a cutting edge and overall just like a more mature team. We have one of the youngest squads in this tournament. And I could just see the difference being like a very cleverly timed through pass to like Daniel James or Gareth Bale or Kiefer Moore, even to just slot it home. And it's not going to be thumping, but I think Wales narrowly take it.
Look, before we land the plane, I don't want to talk about the games that's coming up Tuesday, but I want to discuss one issue that's going on so far, right? France. It's like everything's lining up for France to just fall to the victim curse. I don't know what it is, but no Pogba, no N'Golo Kante, and even with those players absent, I was like, yeah, look, they got Benzema. You know what I mean? He's been playing well, and with him in the team, I think they're gonna do it. And then Benzema gets injured.
Yeah, I saw that last night before I dropped my prediction.
And I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So do you think that the players that they have could actually pull through and get them out of the group? I have them coming second behind Denmark.
Yeah, I think of course they can.
Yeah, I think they can, but I don't know. The fact that they have to play Australia, you don't know. I never even thought I don't know. Bro, I had given up on Australia, and then I was taking a break, and then I heard Australia beat Peru. I was like, what? How did that happen? Yeah. And then there's Tunisia in this group, and the whole Tunisia-France, relationship. And then there's Denmark, who just beat France twice.
Right. Sure.
So it's like everything's lining up for them not to make it, but let's see. Let us see.
I think France, of course, they still have the depth to come through this group, top 2 spot.
But we said the same things about Italy 2010. We said the same things about Spain 2014 and Germany. Who thought that these things would have happened? And France 2002 as well, when they were grouped with Senegal, a former colony as well. So
yeah,
we don't know, man.
They're either gonna silence the doubters, or they're going to continue the tradition of the curse being. I know. If they crash out, people are going to be like, something supernatural going on here. Someone put a.
I know.
In the chat. Oh,
bro, appreciate you coming through. What are we going to call this series? World Cup Digest? I used to watch an old show back in the day called some Sports Digest or something. So.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
What are we going to call this?
World. I remember back at the last World Cup, you had a very cool title in one of your videos. It was called World Cup Runneth Over. I don't know if we can use a play.
I don't know, man. We'll think about it. Think about it. Yeah. So, guys, make sure you subscribe to both our channels. I'll leave a link to Football Affairs channel in the description box. And Appreciate you you guys coming through, supporting the thing. Like the video if you haven't yet done so. Football Pharaoh, any closing thoughts?
Will hope eventually it'll start hitting us that the World Cup is here, because we're both still kind of in shock, even though we're talking about this.
I know.
And I hope we have videos like this every night. I really hope we do.
Yeah. That's the plan. That's the plan. You know what? When the Champions League is going on, I'm like, yeah, Champions League. But when the World Cup, I'm like, nah. The World Cup actually take the spoils, man. It is the best tournament there is. You know what I'm saying? I forget about everything else. Look, I don't know if I'm gonna have any friends after the World Cup because I'm focused on talking about this thing, man. But look, from Football Pharaoh, I appreciate it. Football Pharaoh, I like your outro. You drop the outro. I like what you drop your outro, man.
All right. Well, I just want to say, guys, we're here. The World Cup is upon us, and got a lot of action coming up these next 3.5 weeks. And I hope you guys stick with us, with Dom and I, in our journeys in both our channels. And I want to thank him for having me on again. I hope we have a lot to dive into and digest. A lot of juicy games, no doubt. A lot of drama coming our way. And I want to also end by saying, come on, USA, let's do it. Come on, let's win tomorrow.
All right. So until next time, peace out. Rich School Hot. Peace.
Peace.